On this show, you'll find inspiration, motivation, and advice from experts, as well as valuable tips on how to get started or improve your business. Let's dive into how you can begin and grow your wisdom business. Inspiring others looks different for everyone. How will you inspire? Welcome to the Wise Dome podcast, and today we have with us an amazing leadership coach, and her name is Justine Cox. Justine, welcome to the Wise Dome podcast.
Thank you, Nikki. It's great to be here.
Well, let's start off with how you got started in this whole industry and became a leadership coach.
Yeah. Wow. My corporate career was in human resources. So I did that for a number of years. And then I became a mum for the first time at 43. So I was a little late to the parenting party, but I got there. And it was, I had always thought about doing my own gig, but I was never, if I'm honest, never brave enough to leave good paying jobs and that security that brings. But after I had my son, Nash, I was looking to negotiate to go back. And look, the organisation I had been with was quite flexible, but as it turned out, just not flexible enough.
Yeah.
So I kind of sat back and went, well, I've just gone 12 months with no income and it hasn't been that bad. So maybe now's the time to take the leap and give it a go.
Yeah.
And so I did. And Leaders Change Room was born, basically, in the front room of my house at the time.
And was it through conversations with other people, just sort of discovering what they need? Like, how did you go about pinning down what it was that you were going to share with other people?
It was really about my own passion. If I'm 100% honest, It was about what I was passionate about. I have always been fascinated by people and behaviours.
Yep.
And when I was in human resources, I learnt that relationships are the key.
Yep.
And that in corporate, we lose sight of the fact that it's people and relationships and trust that make the biggest difference, and not task and plans and checklists. And so I really wanted to do what I loved with people that I felt like I could make a real difference with and show them that there was a different way to leadership. I guess part of it was I'm disappointed that we haven't been able to move the leadership dial. You know, I've been in corporate and we spend a lot of money on education and training programs, and still, you know, the majority of leaders have the same problems they had 20 years ago. Yeah. And so I was disappointed by that, and I wanted to see if I could make a difference.
Yeah. And obviously through your own frustrations, which a lot of these things that we end up building come from those frustrations and the pains we go through. You know, what's the biggest sort of challenge you found when you were actually creating or building up this business? Give us an example.
I started the business knowing I wanted to do leadership programs.
Yeah.
But like any new business, you need money.
Yes.
So I basically just went out to my networks and said, hey, I'm available. I've got my own business. And then I followed where people wanted me to go for probably the first 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And other times it was, you know, not way outside that. But I just kind of followed where people wanted me to go, and I tested things and I learnt as I went. And then it was I've been in the business now 5.5 years.
Yeah.
And my son was coming up to starting kindergarten, and I was really part of the reason for building the business and taking that leap to do my own thing was I really wanted to be a canteen mum.
Yes.
Right? So my mum had done that for me, and I wanted to be there for him and be part of his life. And if I continued to do face-to-face work, that was not always going to be possible. So I needed more flexibility. And I live in a regional town on the south coast of New South Wales. And so a lot of the time the face-to-face work is travelling. Yep. So there was that complication as well. So I then started to be more deliberate about, well, what do I want the business to look like? And I started to craft that up based on what I knew worked. When I was a leader, the largest team I had was 450 people across a couple of states and 2 different functions. Yeah. And so I really went back to that and said, well, okay, what is it? If I can really nail the small handful of things that I did that enabled me to be successful in that context, that's what I need to get the content to.
Yep.
I mean, one of the biggest challenges that we all have as experts in the field is you know a lot and you want to share all of it.
Yes.
But often when you share all of it, all that does is overwhelm people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and you need to get – so I've really focused on curating my content a lot more over the last couple of years to get to a point where I can get it online and still have the same impact that I can get when I'm in a room face-to-face.
Yeah. And when you're like – and I totally – respect the fact that, you want to be a canteen, because I wanted to be a canteen mum too.
Yeah.
That's why I started my business at home. And, having that balance between, the family, the kids and work and the pressures as well that we put on ourselves to get, to that success, or what we see as success is different to everybody. But the stages of getting there and the time the patience you need to have. And you mentioned there, like you've been reviewing how you sort of deliver over a few years. And that's one thing I wanted to touch on, because some people, when they start a business like this, they go through the process and they think, yeah, I'll get it on straight away. It'll be fine. And then they get frustrated with themselves when they realize something's not working and they need to change it. But that's okay. It's quite normal. We all have to change along the way. Did you change along the way because of the responses you were getting from people, or was it based on your comfort level on how you were delivering the content? Some people differ that way.
That's a great question. No, it was definitely on the responses I was getting. Yep. And I'm a coach, so I'm always looking at people and their reactions to see how I land on other people.
Yep.
And so I tested it with some clients, and then I tested it with a group of leaders that were in my network that were from different organizations. And I just continued to kind of massage it till it felt right for me.
Yep.
And I also noticed that people responding more positively.
Yep.
It's funny. If I think back to the process I've taken, and it's been 2 years that I've been working on it, and I've been running it, it's very similar to the way that I used to do my uni assignments and my essays.
Yeah.
But you'd write this, I just wrote. Like I'd write and there'd be a lot. Yeah. And then I would just, over a series of, a few days, I would just whittle it away and try to condense it and make it more concise. And that's the process I took. I guess it's a process that comes naturally to me.
Yeah. And your delivery, how do you deliver?
So I deliver, there's a mixture, so it's a hybrid. So some's pre-recorded. So I've got modules that are pre-recorded sitting in the system.
Yeah.
And then I also, twice a month, we go face-to-face. The beginning of the month we do a hot topic. So that's something that's come up through my work with people that I focus on. And then that's in the first week of the month. In the third week of the month, we do small group coaching.
Right. Okay.
I don't offer any leadership development without follow-up coaching.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. You can't expect to send your leaders or your people to a room or an online virtual room for 1 to 8 hours and think then they're going to go back to work and it's going to be different, because it's not. It's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym for 8 hours once and then the rest sorts itself out. That's just not what happens.
We wish it did work out that way, but it doesn't.
We wish it did. It really doesn't. And we have to stop expecting that people can remove their own roadblocks. Because if that were true, they wouldn't be where they are.
Yeah, that's so true.
We all need support.
And how much time do you leave between, the whole coaching period and then sort of getting them sort of into the flow? Do you differ the time you go back and revisit?
Yeah, no, it's about coaching happens every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I've found any shorter than 2 weeks is too short and they haven't had enough opportunity to put anything into action.
Yeah.
And 4 weeks is too long. They've forgotten what they've talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me 2 days and I've forgotten what I've talked about.
I know. And so I expect people to make a commitment in between the sessions to go and try something.
Yeah.
We don't, I say to the leaders, I want you to come with an experimental mindset, because you can't fail an experiment. Mm-hmm. An experiment is about test, learn. Mm-hmm. And that's the process we undertake through Leadership Lift.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, just in respect to the clientele that you have? Obviously not, telling you who your clients are, but what's the common denominator do you think you find in people who are these leaders that, are needing your service? Are they leaders that are recognizing they need the help, or is it their organization saying, we're going to make sure you have this help?
Honestly, it's a bit of both. I'll have leaders come and say, hey, I'm struggling. Usually it's some kind of people problem.
Yeah.
And they've come up against and they don't know what to do. And then on the other spectrum, I've got managers who say, my team has a problem, can you help them?
Yeah.
But the common denominator mostly, I use this analogy, sandcastles and sandpits. Yep. Generally, they have been amazing sandcastle builders, right? They're really good at what they do. They might be an amazing accountant or a healthcare professional or a customer service representative. Mm-hmm. And because they were so good at building those sandcastles, their organisation went, awesome, we're going to give you a whole sandpit to look after and these other sandcastle builders. But what they don't do then is say, what got you this job, what the skills and the focus that you needed to be a great sandcastle builder is different to what you're going to need to look after this whole sandpit.
Yeah. And
they don't help them make that transition. And that's really where I love to step in and help them. And it's about, as a sandcastle builder, and I like to use that analogy, you look down, it's very focused, you got your tools, and it's just about you.
Yes.
But when you've got a whole sandpit, you have to look up. And you've got to notice what's going on. And all of a sudden you got to make sure there's enough buckets and spades, and is the rain coming, and are the sandcastles too close together? Very different to that narrow down approach.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome analogy, Justine. I swear to God, because it's interesting because, when we go through a business when we start a business and we're building it, and along the way you bring in team members. You might bring in a content writer or a social media planner, whatever it is, depending on the business you have. And I know some of us out there, we're building teams, and sometimes it's instant. Who knows, depending on the kind of business you're running. Or, you could be solo and you still have to balance what's going on. You can't just be, because we wear a million hats all at the start. Yeah. It's crazy. And then it comes time to delegating. That transition from doing everything yourself to delegating is one thing, but then actually running the team, like you can delegate and go, okay, here you go. But then there's a follow-up, there's the meetings and so forth. And a lot of it's online, especially when you do run your own business from home. You might be, contracting people from all over the world to help you with, some delegation tasks and so forth. What advice can you give to those leaders out there, or those businesses that are starting up their knowledge business or becoming successful and building up a team, especially having to run something online?
Yeah. Look, leadership is about relationships. Yeah. And the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. Yeah. Because it sets the tone for all your other relationships.
Yeah.
And so, the best thing you can do is get to know the person you are today and the one you're becoming, and let go of the person you used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, when you're building sandcastles in your business, when you first start, you're building all the sandcastles, and half of them you don't know how to build, right? So you're just plopping the sand there and patting it up and hoping it works out and doesn't fall over, right? And there's some that you're really good at and you'll spend more time doing those. But when you step into leadership, it's a shift. Like the relationships have to shift. And you are looking to influence other people. Leadership is a social process of influencing people. Mm-hmm. You can't influence anybody if you're not comfortable with yourself, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you stand for, if you don't know what your non-negotiable list is. because then you're waiting, you're setting other people up to fail, you know. And I think the other thing is get really clear about which trust camp you sit in. So you're going to bring people into your world, right? Into your business world. Now, for us, most of us, it's our baby.
Yes.
Right? We're very protective of our babies. And now you're going to trust somebody else.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is people come from one of two trust camps, right? Either you're like me, I give my trust freely. If I've chosen to bring you in, you get my trust.
Yep.
But then if you lose it, I'm going to find it very difficult to give it back to you.
Oh, God, you sound the same as me.
Right? Yeah. But other people are waiting for you to earn their trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you think about when you bring someone in that you're going to delegate to, if they don't know whether they've got your trust or they're trying to earn it, right? They don't know how to get themselves in a position where the relationship can flourish and you can delegate freely and communication can happen. And so as a leader, you need to get really clear on when you bring someone in, you have my trust and here's my non-negotiable list on how you don't lose it, or actually you don't have my trust yet and here's what I need from you to give it to you.
That's amazing advice, Justine. It's like I needed that today, to be honest.
Yeah, like trust is like the elephant in the room, right? For most business, we just don't talk about it. Trust and emotions. Yeah. They're like taboo in the corporate world.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting you say that because I think we have lots of conversations every day and I can't remember, like I said, 2 days ago, I can't remember, but there was a conversation I had recently and we were talking about trust. And for me, I was brought up on respect. Like you've got to respect your elders or respect your partners, any level, right? And even respect your kids, you know, what their feelings are going, what they are. And from respect builds trust. And we were talking about that. I actually mentioned it in our team meeting that we had earlier this last week. And it was interesting because I was sitting there and I'm thinking, God, I know I can do what you're doing and I'll do it quicker, but I know I won't do it as well as you though. I'll just get it done quicker. Yeah. And my respect, and I was explaining how much I respected each of their positions and what they were doing for us as a whole to deliver the goal that we're reaching, you know, that we're going for. Obviously, you are busy. Are you building up a team yourself and going through that process now?
Yeah, look, I'm good at delegating and I am a good leader. I kind of learned that. So I brought a VA into my business early. Yep. You know, at the time I thought it was before I needed it, but once they were in, I realized it wasn't too early. But then I had that VA for about 2 years and it was working beautifully. We had systems in the business and she was doing the things that I wasn't good at, you know, the admin and all the detail because I'm terrible at detail, and freed me up to do the things I'm really good at where I can make a difference. But she wanted to get into accounting and so she moved on. And then I had a couple of other VAs and it didn't work so well. Right. And it was at that point that I started to reposition the business to say, well, I'm going to move from, you know, majority one-to-one to online, to bringing Leadership Lift into the online learning world. Right, okay. So I thought, okay, time to stop because I'd lost sight of what was happening with my business, the whole business. Yep. Because I'd handed over that back end side and now I'd gone through a couple. It just was a bit of a mess. So I went, okay, I'm going to stop. Yep. Need to strip it back to basics, work out what's going on before I add back in. Yep. And that was probably October last year. And then so I kind of stripped it back, looked at, well, what do I need? Where is my business now? I think that's the thing around, it's always changing and we hang on to the old versions and we forget, oh, things have changed, right? Yeah. And then so this year I got really busy. I realised then my systems are broken down, so I've partnered up with an OBM company. They're helping me set up systems and processes. And then I've recently brought in a new VA and she has changed my world. She's amazing. Her name's Erin. And she is really working with me to make sure that I spend my time doing the things that matter in terms of making a direct difference for clients And she then takes the kind of client experience and makes sure that the process they go through is smooth and easy. So we've split that up. In the future, I do see myself potentially bringing on another coach or two.
Yeah.
But the next probably 12 months is really about bedding down Leadership Lift. I've just recutting it. It was 6 months. I've about to shrink it down to 3 months and change some of that, curate the content again,
yes.
And then also listening to my clients. They're asking me to do a couple of different things, and one is around the sandpit strategy, and so some face-to-face workshop work with some group coaching without the online component. So I'm going to be offering that as well.
Okay. And I was about to say, because you mentioned the VA, and I'm going to go to that sort of point. What was some of the things that you wanted to look out for in a VA, knowing what obviously what our needs are very different, but as you're starting a business or you're growing your business, the first person might be a VA. What would you suggest someone look for or make sure they look for in a VA?
It's about the relationship.
It is, yeah.
So you've got to find that good fit.
Yeah.
And for me, that meant that they needed to be purpose-driven, and they needed to care about what I was doing.
Yeah.
So when I got my first VA, I had the choice between a VA who was new to VA, so I hadn't really had another client before, but she had gone and researched me. She was interested in leadership. She could talk about leadership, but she wasn't a leader. And a really experienced VA who, to them, it didn't matter what I did. And I chose the inexperienced VA.
Yeah.
Because you got to get someone who's got to have some skin in the game, right? It's not about compliance. It's about commitment and engagement. And so I was looking for someone who wanted to engage and commit to what I did in my business and have a true relationship with me.
Yeah.
And, so that's what I focused on, is the person.
Yeah. I love that answer. That's good. Well, I guess, because we obviously look at skill set and so forth, but you've got, there's a portion of each person, everyone that works or does their own thing, they have that portion of what's inbuilt in them, which is like the culture. And then there's obviously the skill set of what they do. And culture, you can't teach culture. I think some of it, it's what we bring to the table. And for me, I think that is great advice, Justine, just for anyone out there who might think to expand or bring on someone into their business to help them. Look at the person. There's got to be a click too, I guess. Every person I've spoken to, it's like, let's just, or interview to bring on. It's got to have a click with them.
Look, in my HR days, I've done a lot of recruiting.
Yeah.
And pretty much we've decided whether we like them or not in about the first 30 seconds. And we spend the rest of the interview justifying to ourselves why we thought the first thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so the first thing is a feeling you get. And like I said, you're trying to understand, can I have a long-term relationship with this person?
Yeah.
And too often and I've been there, and I've been one of those people where you put the job ad out or you put it up online or you tell people, and you start with, here's all the things I want you to be able to do.
Yeah.
Like I think we've had it back to front forever. It's actually, this is the person I need. Yes. Oh, and by the way, this is what you'll be doing.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like I said, you can teach someone, and if somebody truly is engaged, wants that connection, that relationship with you, they'll learn it. They'll learn the bits that they're not that great at, and you'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah. No, that's so helpful. And I'd love to ask, what legacy are you looking to leave based on what you shared?
For me, I want to leave a legacy of strong and kind leaders. My mission is to grow the next generation of CEOs and people managers. And make sure that they are leading with strength and kindness. Because for too long, particularly in corporate and even in small businesses, too many people think that strength and kindness is mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And they're not. We can be both.
Yeah.
And that's really what I focus on.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful.
Thank
and do you have an
offer
that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, well, obviously Leadership Lift is my online program, and we are relaunching it next February. So the wait list is open. Right. And in Leadership Lift, I teach my sandpit strategy, which I've talked a little bit about today, and helping you move from being a sandcastle builder to a leader of the sandpit. And it's an online program. It's going to go for 3 months, and ultimately, Leadership Lift will help you build better relationships with your people and be the leader no one wants to leave, because the stats continue to tell us that people leave because of the relationship or the lack of the relationship they have with their manager, and it just doesn't have to be that way.
No, exactly. Well, you've been amazing to chat to today, Justine. Absolutely amazing, and given so many great tips and little bits of advice.
Oh, thank you. I've loved it.
It's like a session for me. All of our listeners, make sure you click on the link below in our summary of our podcast. You'll have all the details to Justine's Leadership Lift program, and be sure to subscribe. And thank you again for your time, Justine. I appreciated every minute with you.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. It's been awesome. I love I'm really passionate about what I do. I love talking about all things leadership. So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, loved it. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Wise Dome podcast. If you enjoyed and have been inspired by this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, do subscribe and please share it with others. Post about us on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, Nikki Kelly, you can follow me on Instagram at Wise Dome Podcast, WISEDOME podcast. I'm Nikki Kelly. Thanks again, and we'll catch up next time.